What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Zero Lab. Today, we're taking a look at 5 real Pokemon TCG cards that I think that we should get in Pokemon TCG Pocket. Now, we've gotten a few cards in TCG Pocket already that are similar to cards that have come out in the game previously or cards that we have in the game today for the IRL TCG. And I want to take a look at 5 more TCG cards that maybe with some edits should come to TCG Pocket because they have really cool mechanics and the nostalgia of some of them are really strong for competitive players who have played in past TCG formats, and they're also cards that I think would make the game better in some cases. So we're going to move forward and look at the first card, and that first card is going to be Jumpluff. Now, Jumpluff was back in the day a pretty good deck in, I believe, the Heart Gold and Soul Silver era around 2010. I think it even got top 4 potentially at Worlds that year. And Jumpluff utilized the Broken Time Space Stadium card. And that stadium said that each player may evolve a Pokemon that he or she just played or evolved during that turn. And so Jumpluff, even though it was in Stage 2, was able to cheat that evolution and get all the way up into Jumpluff really quickly. And then it had the Mass Attack that did 10 damage times the number of Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's, for 1 Grass Energy. And then it had the Leaf Guard attack that did 30 damage for 1 Grass Energy, and during your opponent's next turn, any damage done to Jumpluff by attacks is reduced by 30. So, how could we bring this really cool, nostalgic, fun card to TCG Pocket? Obviously, we don't have stadiums in the game, so, I mean, one thing they could do is bring stadiums to the game, but I'm not sure that they're going to do that, and I also think something like Broken Time Space might be too good for a lot of decks, even though Jumpluff isn't that strong of a card. So we're going to make some edits to the card and to its pre-evolutions to bring it into TCG Pocket, and here's how I think we could do it. We give the Broken Time Space ability to Jumpluff's previous evolution. So we could have a Hoppip with 50 HP, 1 Grass Energy with the Tackle attack that does 10, and then give it the Broken Time Space ability that says you may use this ability only if this Pokemon is in the active position. Put a Skiploom from your deck onto this Pokemon to evolve it. You may not use this ability on your first turn. So we can cheat the evolution out of the deck, and then give the Skiploom the Broken Time Space ability as well that says you may use this ability only if this Pokemon is in the active position. Put a Jumpluff from your deck onto this Pokemon to evolve it. You may use this ability even if Skiploom came into play this turn. So you could, even if you evolve Hoppip into Skiploom on a turn, you could then use Broken Time Space again on the Skiploom to evolve up into Jumpluff. Now we've edited the Jumpluff just slightly to give it 100 HP. And the reason for that is Pikachu is one of the best decks in the game right now. And so it does 90. We want to protect Jumpluff from getting O-code by Pikachu without forcing them to play Giovanni. But then the attacks are just the same. It has Leaf Guard, which would do 30, and the damage Jumpluff would take on the following turns would be reduced by 30. And then it still has that Mass Attack that does 10 damage times the number of Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's. So it would be doing... well, the number of Pokemon in play, the max number of Pokemon in play is 8. The 2 active Pokemon, 3 on your opponent's bench, 3 on your bench. So Mass Attack could do 80 for 1 Grass Energy, which I think is very strong. If your opponent limited their bench or you didn't have a full bench, Mass Attack would obviously do less damage. So I think this is a really cool way to bring Jumpluff into the TCG. There's a little error here. This should be free retreat on the Jumpluff. I do think the original Jumpluff had free retreat. I think this Jumpluff should have free retreat as well. But I think this would be a really cool deck to bring into the game. Grass type isn't very good right now. Stage 2s aren't amazing right now because there's no evolution search. And personally, I'm just a big fan of the Hoppip Skiploom Jumpluff line. And I think that this would be a really cool thing to bring into the game. So let me know what you think of this idea in the comments down below, and we'll jump into the next one, which is Pokegear 3.0. Now, Pokegear 3.0 is a very strong card in the current game. It is an item card that says look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal a supporter card you find there and put it into your hand. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. Now, in TCG Pocket, we don't really have any effects right now that let us search our deck specifically or look at the top X cards of the deck. I guess we do have Pokédex that lets us look at our next 3 cards. So there's a couple ways we could do Pokegear 3.0 in the game. We could have it be similar to the current Pokégear in the actual TCG, but maybe look at the top 3 or top 5 cards of your deck and then reveal a supporter card you find there or input it into your hand. The other idea would be to flip a coin. If heads, you can put a random supporter card from your deck into your hand. I think another way to do it would be, just to reveal cards from the top of your deck until you find a supporter. There's a couple of different ways to do it, but I think this would be a really cool item card to add into the game. One thing is the decks are so small that I think looking at the top X number of cards might be too good. So I think the coin flip to, say, put a random supporter card from your deck into your hand might be a good way to do it. So that's why I went with it there. Obviously, we could look at the top X number of cards and put a supporter we find there into our hand. We could just get rid of the coin flip and say put a random supporter card from your deck into your hand. That might be a little too good. But I do think that something like this could be really cool in TCG Pocket. Moving on to the next card is Clea. Now, one of the problems in TCG Pocket right now is that going first is a big disadvantage in the game. And so the question is, how do we remedy that? Obviously, going first, you cannot attach an energy, but you can attack. So if you have Misty in your hand to start the game and you're able to attach some energy with Misty, turn 1 going first, you can attack in TCG Pocket. You just can't attach an energy. Now, we've had a card in the TCG for a long time that has done similar things throughout the years, and that's this Clea. In the past, it had an attack called Eek. In the current format, its attack is called Grasping Draw, but all the ideas are the same. The original one had Eek, where you shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 7 cards. The other one had shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 6 cards, and Clef is now asleep. And the current one, for no energy cost, says draw cards until you have 7 cards in your hand. But they all are these baby Pokemon that have very low HP and free retreat, and this attack that, well, the original didn't cost no energy, but now today it costs no energy to use the attack. And TCG Pocket, you can attack going first. So I think we could update this Clea, give it the Eek attack for no energy cost, and say draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand. This would allow decks to set up a little bit better. It allows decks to, when they're going first, have something to do on that first turn to mitigate the disadvantage it is currently in TCG Pocket of going first. So now you play down your hand, you play a couple of Pokeballs, you get your Pokemon into play, and maybe you have 2 or 3 cards left in hand, and then you can use Eek to draw up to 5 cards in your hand and just have a little bit of extra draw power when you're going first. Obviously, the downside of it is something like Leak Slap on Farfetch'd could KO the Clea, and those sorts of things. Like, it would be, because of that low HP, it would be susceptible to getting knocked out on that first turn going second from your opponent. So that is a downside to it, but the upside is you have a little bit of consistency and maybe a little added advantage when you go first, given that going second is really, really good right now in TCG Pocket. So I think something like this would be really cool to bring to the game. Looking at the next cards, this is another deck that was pretty popular back in the day from sort of the black and white era. And it was very strong. It also had a world's placement, and it's this Typhlosion and Reshiram. The Typhlosion is a Stage 2 Pokemon that has the Afterburner ability. Back then, they were called Pokepowers. That says, once during your turn, before you attack, you may search your discard pile for a Fire Energy card and attach it to one of your Pokemon. If you do, put 1 damage counter on that Pokemon. This power can't be used if Typhlosion is affected by a special condition. Back in the day, Pokepowers abilities couldn't be used if you were affected by a special condition. And then Typhlosion has the Flare Destroy attack that does 70 damage for 2 Fire Energy and a colorless energy, and you discard an energy card attached to Typhlosion and discard an energy card attached to the defending Pokemon. Now, the reason Typhlosion was really cool is we had this basic Reshiram with the Outrage attack that for 2 colorless energy did 20 damage, plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. And you'll recall, obviously, that the Afterburner ability did put damage counters on to Reshiram. When you use it, you can attach a Fire Energy card, but then you put a damage counter onto that Pokemon. Then Reshiram also had the Blue Flare attack for 2 Fire and colorless, did 120, and then you discard 2 Fire Energy attached to this Pokemon. Now, the math can change, the HP numbers can change, all of that, but I just propose we bring these right to TCG Pocket. Give Typhlosion that Afterburner ability with all the same text. Get rid of that special condition thing, though, because we can use abilities in the game today. even when we have a special condition, and then give it that same Flare Destroy attack. I think that's a balanced attack. Now, the numbers on Reshiram might need to be moved around a little bit. I currently dropped the HP from 130 to 110, but the Outrage attack has the same text, 20 plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon, and the Blue Flare attack also has the same text, doing 120. Might need to drop that attack damage a little bit. That might be a little bit too strong on a basic attacker. Maybe drop it to like 80 or 90, something like that. But certainly I think this would be a very cool deck to bring to TCG Pocket. Might need to move some of those damage numbers around a little bit on that Blue Flare attack, but yeah, I think this would be a very cool and nostalgic deck to bring to TCG Pocket, and I think a lot of people would love to see it. Now for the final card that needs to come to TCG Pocket, and there's a couple of different ways to do this. Right now I have it as an item card. Maybe this as an item card is a little bit too strong, and maybe it needs to be a supporter card, but we desperately need some evolution search in TCG Pocket. I think it's one of the biggest problems with the game right now, and I hope it gets addressed soon, and I think this is one of the ways to do it. So Great Ball in the current standard format says, look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Pokemon you find there and put it into your hand. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. Cool. We could just leave the text the same on Great Ball in TCG Pocket as it is in the regular TCG, but I wanted to mirror sort of what they did with Pokeball, where you find a random basic Pokemon from your deck and you put it into your hand with Pokeball and TCG Pocket. I think we could mirror that text on Great Ball and just say put one random evolution Pokemon from your deck into your hand. So put one random stage 1 or stage 2 Pokemon from your deck into your hand as an item card to help you find those evolutions a little bit easier. Now, that could be a little bit too good as an item card. Maybe we can make a supporter, something like that. But I just think we definitely need evolution search in TCG Pocket. So those are my top 5 cards, or just not really top 5, but 5 cards that I think are really cool from the IRL TCG that we could put into TCG Pocket with a few edits to just spice up the format, make things really interesting. So let me know what you thought about that. Comment down below if there are any other cards from the real TCG, the IRL TCG, that you think we should bring to Pocket, maybe with some edits. And I'd love to read those comments. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.